Goldberg was on Ariel Hawani's show, pissed and moaned about his retirement match. Now, we watched it last week. Just as a recap, Dutch, what do you think of his performance in the retirement match? As 58 years old and wrapped with injuries.
Well, I thought his performance was okay. It wasn't outstanding. Gunther's performance wasn't outstanding, but it was a match that told a story. And of course, the story was that his last match, and the big question was who was going to win. And I predicted that Gunther would win because that makes sense. What possible good could having Goldberg win? Because Goldberg's leaving. He's taking off. So, but Goldberg wasn't happy with that. Now, to get him to do what he did, I think they had to pay him handsomely.
Do you think he wanted to go out on top? Do you think is that your? Do you think he wanted to win? Do you think he wanted to win? Because he complains. He doesn't complain about that in this. He complains about other things surrounding the match.
Yeah, and I'll get to that in just a second. So I don't think he wanted to be on the losing end, but he lost in such a way that he didn't get pinned. He didn't get really beat. He just kind of passed out from the sleeper, which was actually, I think, the best way to go out. But yet, instead of him being gracious on his way out, he got pissed off with a bunch of people. And I'll tell you exactly what I thought of Goldberg. Goldberg got over, not because of his great wrestling ability. Yes, you agree with that?
Yeah, intensity
and he didn't get over because of his great matches, right? He got over. Why? Because they put him over less than 2 minutes almost every time he was on TV. So the people got to expecting Goldberg to beat his opponent within 5 minutes anyway. He wasn't noted for long matches. But that takes a lot of booking skill to arrange a match like that. And that's why he got over. But yet he doesn't see it that way. He thought about what I have added to the wrestling business. Now, I guarantee you there's probably 10 or maybe more, 20 guys out there with a big jacked up body that could have done the same thing. Go in there and probably better talkers, probably better adapted to wrestling than what Goldberg was. But instead of him saying, I appreciate my time in wrestling, I appreciate all the fans, he wanted to be pissed off. And he was pissed off because of, I guess, his go home speech was interrupted. And he was going to make a big deal after that. Now, I don't know. I've talked to people, and I think you said this, James. What do you think he was paid?
I would argue. I think you said 500 to 750. That's what you said. I said I bet he got paid. I bet he got paid $1 million plus. I bet he got paid Saudi Arabia payoff money.
Okay, and I think you're probably closer to it than what I am. But even the figure I brought up to me was outrageous. $500,000 to $750,000 for a period of work for what lasted less than 14 minutes, and that counts probably walking to the ring. I would do it. Would you do that for that type of money? Yes, I would. But I wouldn't get up and just be a complete. And I think Goldberg was actually, I'll call him this. I don't know him anyway. If he ever runs across me, he can just beat the hell out of me. I just think he's just an asshole for doing that. What he did, he made a lot of money, and it was for his kid, and his kid was there. But he didn't show any appreciation for the people who made him, the company that made him, the fans that made him. I don't care if it was the worst example in the world of a wrestling match. At least thank the people that were responsible for putting you in a position to where they would even come to you and want you to do a retirement match. You know, he lasted 1 year in football. 1 year in pro football.
Is that it?
That's it. He got hurt.
Okay.
And I did a little research on him. He was found in a gym, and I don't know if he owned the gym or he was working at the gym. He was found by Lex Luger and Sting, and I guess he got to talking to them, or they got to talking to him. I think it was more him talking to them about getting into wrestling, and they encouraged him to get in, and then he got into wrestling school, and I don't know how long he was in school. They didn't teach him anything, really. It was Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. You remember him?
I do remember him. Would it be fair to say he's one of the worst trainers in wrestling history? Because he seems to, seems to run off more people than. I mean, I said this probably last week. He's run off more people probably who had some sort of wrestling quality by this old school take the money and try and run them off in the first day kind of thing. But the thing, in corporate WCW in the 90s, and they're treating him like Hiro Matsuda breaking Hulk Hogan's leg in the first 5 seconds to see if he'll come back. It's like,
you want to see what's right for you.
In fact, we also had the thing on Stevie's show last week where we were talking about Bill DeMott, Hugh Morris, and all the stuff that he allegedly did to people, including, whatever comments and overrunning people and threatening people and ignoring people or whatever else it might be. But, there's only 2 dozen people who came out against him.
Ironically, you bring up Bill DeMott. That was Goldberg's first opponent in WCW.
First televised opponent, yeah, specifically.
And that was his first televised match, and the people, I think he was on the second hour, but way deep into the program, they put him over. They just wanted tape on him, I guess. And this was my friend Kevin Sullivan's idea. Now, what would he have been? What would Goldberg have been if he had gone out there and actually they wanted him to do some, like, a move or something? He did have one move. He had a leg hold that looked fairly decent, but he beat DeMott. And the fans were like, well, we didn't expect this because it looked like a jobber match is what it looked like. And he ends up beating DeMott. So now they have tape on him. Now, on the second show, I'm sure they would have brought him back out there and re-shown the match with DeMott the week before. So now this guy he's an up-and-comer, so let's get behind him. And when they got behind him, they really, really pushed him hard. So, but I'm saying, you could actually taken, hell, I could go out there and get over if they put me over in 4 minutes. After a while, nobody expects it. Boom, small package, 1, 2, 3, a 1, who would have thought? But yeah, but if I had had the career that Goldberg had, and he had a great career in wrestling, but it was brought on by the way they handled him, the way they booked him, and he never had long interviews. He never had anything. It was just simple stuff. And so they ended up getting him over because of his body, and he played pro football.
I believe a couple of things he said on the Ariel Helwani show. So he obviously complained straight away about how he had like a 10-minute speech prepared with all his friends in the ring, and they cut him off after either 20, 30 or 28 seconds, depending on which bit of the interview. It's the same interview, and he says the same thing, different things every time. But he says, they cut me off in frigging 20 seconds with a microphone in my hand. I got 2 weeks before I can really spill the beans and make my feelings known about the entire rundown from inception of the idea to its delivery, but I don't know what he's going to
Let me ask you, why 2 weeks?
It's probably because the check needs to clear, I imagine. Something like that, anyway. It was a little less to be desired. He says, I'm not going to complain, because he does complain a lot. But then he says, to be able to perform a 12 to 13-minute match, what felt like 115 minutes, it was a great opportunity, and Gunther is an unbelievable guy. He does put over Gunther hugely in this, but I want to just, I'm going to skip something else out there, and I'm going to go back to it. But he talks about, I can't find it where it is on the damn thing. He talks about basically being mistreated. There's something else prior to the match that we'll talk about in a minute, but he says, would WWE have done that to The Undertaker? Would they have done that to John Cena? I was like, well, okay, one, they're giving John Cena an entire year to do a retirement thing. The Undertaker didn't have any kind of retirement thing whatsoever. So the two weird examples, but what's important to remember there is that both The Undertaker and John Cena had 25-year-plus careers in WWE. Goldberg had a one-year career in WWE, and then some main events from 2016 to 2022 or thereabouts, just, coming in for one-match things where WWE did so good by him that they just straight away put him in the main event, straight away put titles on him, straight away put him in, Saudi Arabia for $1-2 million payoffs per show. But I think the word that I used on the Stevie show, because that was on a Wednesday and this interview was Tuesday afternoon, was that, man, does Goldberg just come across as ungrateful? It's almost like WWE still make money from him, probably paid him really handsomely, gave him the main event of Saturday night's main event. Who knows if he wanted to win or lose? I don't know. But it's like most wrestlers don't get anything like that. And also, he's not as well tenured as a Ric Flair or a Shawn Michaels, or an Undertaker, or John Cena, or whatever.
And Goldberg didn't break in like Cena broke in. Cena went to OVW for a year, 2 years. And he had to be up there in the minor leagues all this time and learning. And Vince McMahon still didn't see anything in him until I was reading. Something happened.
They were going to fire him. They were going to fire him.
That's right.
Until John Cena started doing the rapping thing on a Halloween episode of SmackDown. And then they thought, oh, damn, he's got personality, we'll keep him.
Yeah, then the light went on. Okay, we got something with him now. And The Undertaker, he went through Memphis. He went through Texas. Then I think he went back to, he went Texas first, Memphis. He went to South Africa one time and came back. Then he came back to Memphis. And then I forgot somebody, I think Sid got hurt in working down there in Atlanta, and Cornette called me and said, do you have a big guy that we can put with Spivey for the skyscrapers? And I told him about Mark, because Mark's about 6'9", maybe a little taller, I don't know. And I told him about him, and he went down there. And Vince got a good look at him. And sometimes I've heard that Vince will envision a guy and what he can do with him long before he gets there. But I would say the athlete between Undertaker and Goldberg is about 5 to 1. I think Mark is about 5 times the athlete that Goldberg is and would. Now, Goldberg was great position he played. He played in the line. I think he's a linebacker or he was a lineman. But Mark played basketball, football, he played baseball. So he was a well-conditioned athlete and very, very, for a guy 6'9", very well-conditioned and balanced. See, balance is the basis of almost everything. Balance is the basis of a happy life. You got to have balance in your life. You can't be over here working your ass off and then not getting any sleep over here. You got to balance that out. So, and the same thing in physical preparation and working out in the gym.
One more thing that Goldberg was saying is that I would have loved for them being WWE to announce it in January, as in announce the matchup, and had a build-up to it and do something like that. Then I thought was maybe worthy of my career. let's just say they chose to do it with 3 weeks' notice. It is what it is. It's part of the package. It's part of the meal you get dealt. And I would be remiss in thinking I thought the meal would be different. But shame on me for thinking it would be different. Let's just say I'm pissed off at the way I went out. I put so much into it. I don't feel as though the effort was reciprocated to put a stamp on what I've accomplished. Again, I'm not going to say that I'm not ecstatic about the opportunity I got. But, I was a WCW guy, and I don't know. I think it could have been done a little bit differently. Yeah, okay, it's true that it could have been a lot differently, but he was also injured all in January. Didn't even know if he was going to make it in the ring then. So how could he announce a match?
Well, he's almost saying, I don't want to knock this, but he goes and knocks it and slams it. And I don't want to come off as unappreciative, but I am appreciative. Wait a minute, why are you saying all this other stuff and then coming back almost with something that's 100% different than what you said initially? I don't get it. I think he has a bad temper anyway, and they got the best of it. But he made a lot of money for a short amount of work, and I think he went out, and nobody's going to ever remember that match other than his Goldberg's retirement match. And he didn't embarrass himself, so I don't know what his big problem was.
Well, you said I'm not saying.
I actually really liked the finish, creative finish.
He said at the end, I'm not saying it was done on purpose. This is about the speech being cut off again by any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying that it wasn't prepared for on purpose. That's all. Once again, I found it. They wouldn't do that to Taker, right? I don't think so. They wouldn't do that to Cena. So there you go. And here we go. And here's the quote. Like I said, I'm not here to bitch and moan because I don't do that. And I'm not complaining by any stretch of the imagination.
It said, I don't piss and moan, but I don't do that. But let me just say this. And then he goes and pisses and moans.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, could it have been done better? Yes, but you're one of the few people who, got a huge payoff and a build-up to a retirement. I mean, the actual thing is that they sort of booked it because they wanted to have something strong to go against AEW All In, which is why they only had 3 weeks build as well. So, all politics.
What was your viewership for this?
Saturday night's main event. I don't know the exact viewership because my internet doesn't work very well, but it was down from the previous one. Mm-hmm. Amazingly, so I don't know if they had more competition or what. I'm not a ratings person really, but it was down.
Mm-hmm.
So, should we move on, or have you anything more to say?
We've wasted enough time on it. Goldberg is exactly what he is. He's Goldberg. So.